Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Boisterous coming to you with the Masters League Magnificence game out of the map Ire Valley. Yeah, Ire Valley is the name of this map. Spelling in front of the top left-hand corner, we do have Fencar as the blue Terran, and down here in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the MtlGuitarist as the dark green Terran. And Ire Valley is, of course, a custom map, because it's not on the map pool, created by the player Incubus, and it's a really cool map. I mean, it's the map reminds me most of a mix between Entombed Valley and Cloud Kingdom. At least that's just my personal thing. I might be thinking Cloud Kingdom just because of the aesthetic layout and because of the fact that we have two Zonlago watchtowers on the bottom and, you know, this kind of wide out platform area in the middle. But that's just me. Also, we have a reasonably easy... Actually, no, I shouldn't say easy to take third base. Alright, I'm just going to start at the natural. So the natural is pretty easy to take. It doesn't have a whole lot of openings here. You have this one ramp along with this secondary ramp, but this secondary ramp isn't too much of an issue because you can get an easy sight out on it with a supply depot or a pylon up here. And it's reasonably far. It's far enough away from the natural where if you start seeing opponents coming up through it, you can actually get units there in time to defend against them, and they can't kind of just bum rush your natural from there. And then, of course, this is pretty much just the standard ramp for naturals. As far as the third base goes, the third base is actually in a very awkward position because it has three ways your opponent can break into it. They can break into it from here, here, or if they break down the rocks at the back of your fourth base, you can move over to here. And nice, Incubus. Alright, well, it looks like he's trying to see what bases get used in the map, which is pretty good. I think as far as my prediction goes, the bases that are going to be used in this map, I would say are probably going to be this, the main, of course, the natural, this third base, and then probably this fourth, because this fourth is basically on lock as soon as you get your third base down and recovered. Because if you have this fourth base up and these destructible rocks are still up, and even if they aren't, it's very easy to wall off that platform. But if they're still up, then of course you have your third base kind of in a position where it's almost defending the ramp up to the fourth, the natural ramp up to the fourth, and it's actually very easy to take. So this map I could definitely see with just the distance between the bases and the width of the ramp of the natural, you could see some very easy two-base play coming out from either one of these players. However, I doubt it because it's just not really their style, and they're both fast expanding rather rapidly. MtlGuitarist, of course, did go for the gas before the FE, and he's actually going to be going for some Reaper pressure, which is going to work out pretty nicely on this map. And this is the other thing that kind of reminds me of Cloud Kingdom, is that the main base is pretty open to harassment. I mean, you have these ramps here that acts as a way for Reapers to get in, but then you also have like this area over here where you can drop in Marines and units, and you just have a massive base that is kind of awkwardly positioned on the map. It looks like we are going to have the first Reaper coming out and flying across the map for MtlGuitarist, as Fencar is just about to finish up his command center on the low ground. So both of our players are reasonably close as far as economy goes. Fencar is, of course, just a little teensy bit ahead. We have the first reactor coming out from Fencar. Interestingly enough, going for that reactor before he starts building his tech lab, which is a little strange. You usually see the tech lab going down first just because you can get those research times done very, very rapidly. But, you know, it's not bad. You know, it's not awful. And I'm not sure did that Reaper just die, like, instantly? No. Oh, did it? What? Did that Reaper literally just die? Yeah. That Reaper basically literally just died, I think. No? Where's the Reaper? Oh, there's the Reaper. Okay. Well, I'm an idiot, and this isn't hot, so I actually couldn't lock down onto the Reaper. And here we do see those beautiful harassment routes starting to take place. We have 4 SCVs currently killed for the Reaper, which is well worth its life. However, it will be able to get out of there with just 8 health. Very, very close to dying. However, it will be perfectly fine, and it will be able to run home and probably sit there for a while or wait for a second Reaper so that it can do a little bit more damage to the economy. It looks like actually no, there's gonna be no second Reaper. And Fencar, I think the answer is MtlGuitarist goes Reaper, and he kills 4 SCVs, which actually it's not, it basically tied up the SCV count and the economy count. It was a pretty good way to start out the game, because it's not too big of a, it's not too big of an investment as far as tech goes. I mean, you're going to build that tech lab anyway. Reapers are a little bit expensive on their own. They're 50-50, but they're not nearly as expensive as, say, Marauders. They only cost one supply, and it just really is the timing of your gas that says whether or not you go Reaper. It looks like we do have a factory on the way with a tech lab attached to it, so I think he's going to be going for siege tanks, just because I would highly doubt that he would be going for what you call it, Banshees, because that would be a wonky way to spend your day. But actually, I don't know. He might be going for Banshee just with the positioning of the starport and the factory, and no, I don't like that strategy at all against another Masters level player. That's kind of just a little bit rough. And if we come back here, is he? No, he's going to be going for siege tanks. Thank God, MtlGuitarist. You had me a little bit worried there for a second, but it's all good. It is all good in the hood. It looks like Combat Shield is just now starting and finishing up for MtlGuitarist, so he will have the much heavier upgraded Marines, because I don't think Fencar has Combat Shield yet. He does have Stim Pack, but he does not have Combat Shield, which is a little bit annoying. Whereas MtlGuitarist is going to have both, which is going to be quite useful. Also, we have both of our players going for starports currently. The starport from MtlGuitarist is going to be much faster as far as getting that. Actually, no, it's not going to be faster at all. It's going to be actually a little bit slower, just because of the fact that he was building that reactor on the factory like a good little boy. It looks like the siege tanks are going to start coming out for Fencar, but they are going to be extremely later as far as coming out time goes than the siege tanks from MtlGuitarist, because Guitarist has kind of just been building them up instantly and very quickly, because he didn't go for the fancy reactor swap with the factory, which is actually a strategy that in a case like this I don't like quite as much as just building a reactor on the starport, especially if you go for fast gas like MtlGuitarist did. So far we have neither player actually taking their third yet, which is not too big of a surprise in a TVT. Usually in a TVT you get that third quite late. In fact, the only real races that get fast thirds are Terrans and TBZ and Zerg in any matchup other than ZVZ. And that's kind of it. I mean, Protoss very rarely get fast third bases because they really don't need them. Maybe in PVZ, but still not usually. It looks like we are going to have Fencar trying to move in on the territory of MtlGuitarist, but MtlGuitarist does have quite the lead as far as this goes. And, oh, the Marines getting pulled back into siege tank range, and that is quite a hit. That siege tank having Overwatch mode on, and I'm sure not a whole lot of people have played XCOM, and not a whole lot of people will get that reference, but I have been freaking obsessed with that game. XCOM is so good. Oh my god. Oh. I played it for like 4 hours earlier today, which would explain if this video is just a little bit on the tad late side. That's why I was playing way too much XCOM, because that game is just freaking amazing. The only sad thing is that right before I left to do this commentary, I actually lost my sergeants, who are named Nick Cage, the Bees, and John Travolta, which was a little bit depressing. Although Ghost Rider did live through the mission, so it's all good. And yeah, I named my characters after Nick Cage memes. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's me. That's Boisterous. Alright, well, anyway, we do have Fencar retreating back into his base, which is a pretty nice decision, because he does not have the siege tank numbers to actually fight MtlGuitarist at this point, because they have very similar armies. There's 10 more Marines for Fencar. However, the extra siege tank just completely makes up for that. We have both of our players still not going for that third base, which isn't, again, it's not too much of a surprise, but I'm a little bit surprised, just a little. And actually, whoa, MtlGuitarist is taking the weird third, or what I would call the weird third. This is a much more open third than the other one. The other one is very much easier to take. It's a little bit further away from the natural, but not much. Actually, no, it's basically the exact same distance away from the natural. I'm pretty surprised by this. We have Fencar, of course, taking the pocket third, which is a much more advantageous position to have a third base in. And I'm actually very surprised that MtlGuitarist is expanding this way, because usually you want to expand like away from your opponent and like try to keep your bases as clustered as possible, and that's kind of what Fencar's doing right now. We have this third base not actually really all that close to his opponent at all, along with a reasonably good choke points. I mean, the bushes are a little bit annoying, but I guess I can kind of see why MtlGuitarist would go for this one, because it actually does have a lot more support from the Xel'Naga Watchtower, which is way more useful. However, it's still on the wonky side of life, I would say. We are at a current 2 tank lead for MtlGuitarist, which is going to be quite nice because he is facing an army that's approximately 20 Marines bigger than his, which is a little bit on the rough and awkward side, but he should be perfectly fine so long as he keeps that tank lead. And as far as production capabilities go, we have Fencar in the extreme lead for how many Marines he can produce, and it looks like he's actually going to be trying to scout out that third base. However, there's no third base there, and this is a pretty nicely placed radar tower, because it makes your opponent think that there's a third base there and that you're trying to like kind of get an idea of what's happening. However, then there just isn't. And there we do have a couple of siege tanks in beautiful positions, and these units are running right up into a choke point, and that is not going to be nice for them. They are going to be able to take out these siege tanks. However, they took quite a few hits onto the Marines themselves before anything happens. We have a nice harassment force from Fencar coming down here to the third base, and they are going to be doing quite a bit of damage. However, it looks like the wrap-up is going to be gone for MtlGuitarist, maybe? Oh, no, that Marine can't get there in time. Ouch. Alright, so we do have Fencar still in a reasonable position as far as this game goes. Not the best by any stretch, but not bad. Because he has 2 siege tanks that are kind of pinned down, and it looks like we do have the double drop harass. Oh my god, both of these players playing very, very aggressively now, and the third base from Fencar does take quite a few losses of SCVs. Actually, no, neither of them actually lost any SCVs really. It's 7-6, and 4 of those killed by MtlGuitarist or by that Reaper early game. So really, there was not a huge exchange that went down there. I'm very surprised, because those were both quite large Marine departments moving out there. However, that would make sense because I didn't actually watch any of the engagements, and they happened very, very rapidly. It looks like we do have 2-2 coming out for 2-2 coming out for Guitarist, and 3-3 coming out for Fencar. So Fencar is going to have much more potent Marines than his opponent. In fact, he already does. I mean, he's already has that +1 upgrade advantage over him. However, MtlGuitarist will be able to catch up reasonably quickly. We do have +2 vehicle weaponry for MtlGuitarist coming up, which will give him a reasonable lead over his opponent as far as upgrades on those siege tanks goes, because currently they're both at 0-1. It looks like as far as siege tank count goes, we have, I would expect, yeah, Guitarist is still in the lead by 1. He has 2 more medevacs, actually 4 more medevacs now, which is pretty potent. That's quite a few medevacs over your opponent. It's actually double the number, really. And here we do have an engagement going down. The siege from MtlGuitarist is a little bit fast, but there are more siege tanks with the army for Fencar. It looks like all those medevacs are going to be doing a lot of help for those Marines, but I don't know. This is going to be awkward, and it looks like Fencar is going to be retreating here, which is a pretty reasonable decision. And that was a pretty good engagement for MtlGuitarist, I would say, because he had a lot less Marines, and I think they both lost in pretty even amount of siege tanks. I think Guitarist might have lost 1 more, but other than that, it was basically perfectly even. Plus, the fact is that he didn't lose any medevacs, because it would have been hard to lose medevacs in that engagement, to be quite perfectly honest. It would have been really hard, actually. It looks like we do have the Marines getting ready to move into a position. MtlGuitarist wants to play this quite aggressively, which is pretty interesting because he does not have a massive army to play this aggressively with. And it looks like from behind, Fencar is going to be able to do quite a bit of damage to the siege tanks, but the reinforcements from MtlGuitarist are coming out from all over the place. And there, the siege tanks from MtlGuitarist are doing quite a reasonable amount of damage. And wow, that was pretty good. I'm surprised that those siege tanks didn't siege up on the high ground, because that would have been a much better place to put them. And we now have Fencar in a reasonable lead as far as siege tank number goes. He is a little bit down on Marines, and of course quite a bit down on medevacs. However, you know, he's in a very, very nice position, having 6 more siege tanks than his opponent. And both of these players have been trading their armies quite efficiently, and we do see Fencar going for the 4th base over here, which does make a little bit of sense because this base is quite prone to dropping. I could definitely see it being more used in matchups like TVZ for Terran, as far as a 4th base location there, or in PVZ or in ZVP. But I guess, yeah, I could see why you don't want it in a TVT, because that base will get wrecked by drops pretty easily. And Yeah, it looks like both of our players are settling down into a little bit of a truce, but we do have the move out from Fencar going into the middle of the map, which is going to be a little bit frightening. We have +3 vehicle weaponry coming up for MtlGuitarist, which is going to be a pretty nice thing to have in this engagement. It looks like all the Marines are at 3-3 currently, so all of the Marines are basically on even ground at this point. Actually, they are absolutely on even ground. And there is a medevac drop going off, but a beautiful stint from Fencar is going to be able to snipe it. Yeah, there we go. It does go down. All 8 Marines dying with it, and that was a pretty big hit to take on by Fencar. And it looks like MtlGuitarist was moving out to try to take his gold expansion, but that did not go well because Marines do 90 million damage per second, and ouch. Alright, well anyway, it looks like both of our players are trying to posture their armies as best as they can, but I don't know, it's still a little bit strange. It looks like 3 siege tanks are going to get sniped quite efficiently here by MtlGuitarist, and wow, that was pretty beautifully done. There was only 1 volley of siege tanks, I don't think it even took out a Marine, and wow. MtlGuitarist, that was definitely worth losing his medevac over, because that army was not in a good position. You gotta keep your siege tanks with the rest of your army, or they will just get picked off by your opponent's Marines like that. And it looks like I again completely missed the fact that the 4th base from Fencar got sniped, but you know, I can't catch everything. You know, there was a major engagement going on in the middle. I just decided not to watch that. So both of our players are actually doing a very nice job as far as multiple drops go, and just being annoying as hell. It looks like the main army from Fencar is in kind of an awkward spot, and MtlGuitarist is going to be moving out here. However, the knowledge is there for Fencar, and oh, the siege ups are not going down at very fast timings. And yeah, with the +2 attack, oh god, he's still only at +2 attack. However, that's still way better than his opponent's siege tank upgrades, and I could see this army actually kind of just rolling through this point. Oh, the last siege tank does not get taken out. And it looks like Fencar is going to lose quite a few medevacs here, and that is not what you want to do with your medevacs. Ouch. There have been some pretty freaking massive hits as far as these armies go. And we do have MtlGuitarist currently in the lead in all 3 unit categories. He has more Marines, he has more siege tanks, he has more medevacs, and that is pretty important to notice. It looks like the Marines from Fencar are in a little bit of a better position. However, he does need to sacrifice basically an entire base worth of SCVs to keep them alive. And yeah, it looks like Fencar just took a massive hit to his economy. 41 workers killed for MtlGuitarist, so that's quite important. Although a couple of medevacs are going to be taken out here, which is going to be quite nice for Fencar, of course. And I still don't know how this game is going to play out, because both of our players are playing extremely well. And this is really just an impressive TVT. I'm very nicely surprised by this. This is pretty freaking cool. We have the 4th base wrapping up for Fencar in that awkward position. However, the gold base from MtlGuitarist is definitely just a little bit more on the awkward side. Just a little. Ugh, that gold base scares me sometimes, man. Ugh. I would not want to put a base there, because, I mean, it's so close to your opponent's 3rd. So freaking close. It looks like both of our armies have not done a whole lot of posturing. We do have a drop coming down here on the right-hand corner, and this is going to be able to do a reasonable amount of damage to the main base if it could manage to get through, you know, the massive amounts of missile turrets and the fact that there's a perfect amount of scouting done here for MtlGuitarist, which I doubt it will be able to do. And oh my god, massive engagement going down in the middle of that. Fencar going to be taking a little bit of the short end of the stick in this engagement, as the siege tanks from MtlGuitarist are in quite a bit of a better positioning. And yeah, he also just has more siege tanks. It looks like, actually, maybe it's not going to do as well. Wow. We have some nice marine bombs going down on the main siege tank army, and that's going to deal quite a bit of damage. I'm surprised MtlGuitarist is still trying to engage into this, because that's an awful idea with the medevac spawning. And oh my god, he just sacrificed almost all of his siege tanks for absolutely nothing. Guitarist, you should just pull back. You did the damage. You did the damage you kind of needed to do, and then you can just run off. It's like when you snipe off, you know, 20, because, I mean, Fencar has a lot less SCVs than his opponent at this point, and he needs to crank out more SCVs. So we do see the economy from Fencar probably going to slow down a little bit over the next few minutes. And Especially with the fact that MtlGuitarist has the gold base secured, he really does not need to be throwing away units like that. He just needs to be reasonably cost efficient, and in the end of the long game, he's just going to have more resources to spend on army. He does need to kick up his production just a little bit, because actually, I guess his production is reasonable. He just needs to build more gas-heavy units. I'm surprised that we haven't seen something like the Raven coming out from either of these players this game. Actually, I guess I'm not really that surprised, because it's a Raven, and there are some big things against the Raven in TBT. The fifth base from MtlGuitarist has been taken at the, I would call, typical third base position. Fencar has, of course, taken his typical fourth base position as a fifth base. And this map, I gotta say, I'm liking the engagements that go down on this map. They're very awkward, but they're kind of cool. It's fun to watch. Plus, just the bases. I mean, this is like a level of bases that I'm not gonna say it's Brood War-esque, but it's definitely up there. This is definitely a lot of bases. It's like it's kind of like Tal'Darim Altar, except more bases, which is awesome. I love massive macro games like this. They're really fun to watch and fun to commentate, especially in the TBT format. You end up having these really awesome positional tank wars where you can very easily say, you know, this player should not have done this player should have done this. If this player did this would have worked much better. It looks like we do the siege tank on the high ground, being reasonably annoying to the main army of Fencar. However, it's the lone siege tank. It's the loner. There's only one. It looks like we do have a small snipe squad from the Marines coming down here to try to take out the command center as best as possible. They're probably trying to lure his opponent into a position where these massive siege tank armies can just smash down the Marines. And there we do have a reasonable train on Marines. So many Marines going down. And oh god, the medevac. Oh, the medevac sniping just does not happen. And that would have been a pretty crucial moment if he had managed to get even one medevac there. That would have been nice. It looks like a little bit down in position. MtlGuitarist is going to be caught. And that's a bit nasty. We have all of the Marines getting crushed, though. And this is such an awkward position for both of our players. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh. I'm surprised that that Fencar has not taken the Silnaga Watchtower yet, because that would give him a very advantageous view of where his opponent's siege tanks are. I'm also kind of surprised that MtlGuitarist has not started to move up a little bit with his siege tanks, because Fencar does have the advanced amount, which means that if he can manage to get them to like here, he's going to be a lot more set. It looks like MtlGuitarist is going to be falling back at this point, which is quite a nice decision. And Fencar is just absolutely outproducing his opponent. We do see Vikings coming out, and Vikings are going to be very useful in the future of this game, because they're going to be able to smash those medevacs out of the sky. And medevacs are pretty crucial thing to have, because you really want that air dominance so that you can get vision out on your opponent's siege tanks, and without that you're in a little bit of an awkward spot. We also had the fusion core coming out, which means that we could in theory see battle cruisers, which although they aren't the optimal ending unit, they're not bad. They're better than Thors, I would say. They do have the range, they do have the mobility kind of difference, where it can be nice. It looks like the fourth base from Fencar is just about to be sniped by a massive army from MtlGuitarist, and that's going to be a little bit annoying, because again, we do see MtlGuitarist doing a lot of damage to his opponent's economy, which is very important. Now, of course, he did lose his own gold to what I'm guessing is a Marine drop, but I kind of missed it, because, of course, there was a massive engagement going down in the middle, and it's just been an awkward stand-around moment for the last little bit. But Fencar, with an absolutely impressive army and impressive macro skill, might just about be taking this game. I'm quite surprised he's managed to keep so far ahead on economy in the last couple minutes, because it's been nasty. Oh my god. Both sides, the Marines are just getting absolutely crushed with reclimbing. Wow. But we do have the Marine drops going down onto the main body of siege tanks, and that is going to do an amazingly efficient amount of damage. Oh my god, so many of the siege tanks going down to friendly fire. And ouch, that might just about be game for MtlGuitarist. I'm not sure if he can actually come back from a position like this, because Fencar just managed to keep up so many more siege tanks in that engagement, and his Marine production is just downright nasty. I mean, he's producing 15 Marines a turn, and there is the GG from MtlGuitarist, and that was a really awesome TVT. Of course, if you guys want to check out this guy's map, you can just check out Ire Valley in the arcade. I'm sure it might be in custom games in Play StarCraft 2, but I don't know. I'll get that information from hopefully in the comments, and then I'll put it up in the description. Also, if you guys like your games commented, you can head over to youtube.com/user/boisteroussc2. And if you would like to watch any other Boisterous action, you can head over to youtube.com/user/boisteroussc2. I would like to thank all of you people for watching this video. It was very long. It was on a map that wasn't quite understood by a lot of people, but it was really, really good. This map is really... I need to play on this map a little bit because I want to see how Zerg kind of plays out on this map. It looks like it would be interesting to say the least. Alright, well, anyway guys, this is Boisterous, signing out.